Hi, everybody. I'm Linden Thorp. Welcome to LinkedIn members and YouTube members. I'm streaming to both today. Welcome. And this is Your Body is Your Business Plan, the Masterclass. And on this series, it's a series of 13 events. I invite people to come and co-host with me. And we've got a special guest tonight who's just making a cup of tea. So that's great. She's comfortable. So I'll introduce you in a moment. Now, as usual, I'm going to start. As usual, I'm going to start by showing you a voiceless video. And I do this deliberately so that anyone can be included. ADHD, hearing impaired, anybody will be able to get the gist of what we're talking about. This is event 11 of 13, and today we're going to be talking about scattered to sovereign. In other words, our minds are diffuse and we get tired and we don't achieve the things we set out to. But if we are sovereign, then we're really focused. We really are a wide river flowing towards the sea. So we're going to be talking about that, and I'm going to set the scene by showing you this video. So without more ado, I'll share my screen with you, and let's enjoy this video. And I hope this set the scene, allowed you time to reflect on you and on your life. And now we'll move into talking about this. And I'm going to bring my guest on the stage now. And I'll introduce her first as we build up to her arrival. She's quite famous, especially on Facebook. Lisa Victoria Harper. She's a people advocate. She's a reflective mentor in leadership, career, and life change. And she's the creator of something called Storm to Shore, which she'll tell us about in a moment. And also Find Your Tribe Club. So without more ado, let me bring her on.
Hello, Linden.
There you are.
I'm working from home. See behind me, there is a cacophony. I normally have a little thing on the background so you can't see the mess behind me, but I haven't worked out how to do that on StreamYard. So what you see is what you get. I would have tidied the work service up a little bit, but hey, that's life, isn't it, Linden?
Yeah, it's great. No, I'm just so glad you're so comfortable and you've got your cup of tea. So that's
I've got
important.
my cup of tea. And you know, Linden, I thought it was gorgeous because I was mentoring someone last week and I met her in a local establishment, a lovely retail shop, by the way, in their cafe. And she gave me a gift, and she gave me this cup as a gift. And she said, Lisa, I saw this cup, and it reminded me of you. So I've had to buy it for you. And how lovely was
that? How lovely. So a rainbow cup.
A rainbow cup, yeah. Filled with all the lovely colours of the rainbow.
Yes. So let's chat. And Lisa, first of all, did you get a chance to watch the video while you were sipping your tea?
Yes, I did. And I think the video absolutely embodies the Storm to Shore program, although we're using different terminology. A lot of it is very, very much the same. Because it is about getting back to self. It always is about getting back to self. So I hope when I'm able to, when I share, a little bit about me and my story and why, where I've come from and where I am now, then you'll see how it mirrors, really. I mean,
right.
It's as if we've rehearsed it, Linden. We're clearly on the same wavelength.
Well, I knew that because I wrote to you a while ago and said that, didn't I? I think there's something big we can do together because I think we are doing very similar work. But we're coming from different perspectives, and that's great when we can combine those things. So yes, tell me a little bit about what was your favorite moment in the video?
In the video, well, I mean, one of my favorite meditations is to do a Dr. Joe meditation, which is aligning your energy centers. And I love that bit, when you give the visual of how we can be aligned inside, because energy does leak, energy leaks from your body when you're not feeling in the right place. So I loved that. And I love how you I love the whole video, Linden, how you gently demonstrated how you can get from that scattered thinking. Because, when you're scattered thinking, we make up all sorts of things in our head, things that are untrue. We, as it says in NLP, we distort, and we generalize, and all of that sort of stuff. We have inner chatter that isn't good for us, and I think getting that back to being in the now is really, really important. So I love that part of the video, Linden.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. I'm so glad. Well, yes, I always do this because I feel so concerned about ADHD people and, hearing impaired people. And I know we can use captions now and so on, but there's nothing like trying to create the kind of right feeling and the right mood before we get started talking about it. So it's become a bit of a...
Visuals are so important, Linda.
Yes, that's so true.
We all relate to that, to visuals. If obviously, as long as we have sight. So we've been able to capture that without having to always have to listen. Because I'm a very visual person, as you well know.
Yes. Well, so am I actually, but I'm also very auditory, and because I started out life as a musician, as you know, and so in fact, I use lots of techniques to scan people's bodies that come from the voice. So because I was a vocalist myself, and in fact, I used to sing opera, if you can imagine it. I started out as a singer and pianist and so on, but then I became music therapist. And so I realized how amazing it is to be able to work with vibrations. So now what I can do, when I work with Lodestone, which is my product, as you know, my 30-day program, and the 30-minute recalibration session that I showed you in the video, then the first thing I do is get people to send me a 2-minute audio if I haven't met them. And I sit and I really meditate on this audio, and I can see their spine. I can see their bodies from the vocal representation on the audio file. And then I can go and say, look, I think there's a lot of tension here. And this is how I work, using vibrational methods, especially on the internet. If people were here, I would use my hands, because I'm an Alexander teacher and Feldenkrais teacher as well. But in Japan, I don't do so much hands-on work these days. I'm really pushing through the vibrational stuff. And really, when we think about it, you say you're very visual. Yes, you are. And it's great that you use color so beautifully and you really enjoy this. I know. But everything has a vibration. Color has vibration, sound has vibration. So, and we have a huge range of vibrations. So if we see the world in terms of vibrations, which I tried to show in the video, then there's no end to what we can change, what we can transform in people. So my techniques really make very rapid transformation, because I'm looking at the vibrations that people are giving off and also pushing out. You mentioned NLP, and then I can really get to the root cause of their problems, their sadness, their frustrations, whatever it is. So it's a very new kind of therapy. Not many people are doing this, but it's amazing, just amazing. And we're talking on this program about scattered to sovereign. And I tell you, I have worked with some amazing people who, through their voices, I've been able to open an area of their lives they've kept clamped shut for 30 or 40 years. I was working with one woman who had terrific low back pain, and I diagnosed that through her voice. And then I said, there's a trauma. You've had a trauma in your low back. And she started to cry. And it all started to come out. And apparently 30 years ago, she had a very bad first birth. Her first child was a cesarean, but they did a huge abdomen slice, like they used to do. They don't do that now. And so they cut through so many layers of her abdomen. And this child survived, but still, even today, has a lot of health problems. So now I'm working with both of them. And but what happened was amazing, because she had not accepted responsibility for this birth. She'd kind of shot it away as her fault. So she was blaming herself for this bad birth. And through talking and through other means, we got her to really become stable. No back pain whatsoever. Disappeared.
Fantastic. It's you know, sound. I mean, I remember many years ago, just as an aside, because we talk about vibration. I went to a health farm or a spa place for 4 days with a friend, and I chose this massage treatment. And I'm talking a long time ago, 20 plus years ago. And this massage treatment was fascinating because the guy, he was a phenomenal masseuse. But you lay on a bed face down, and the bed was laid on amplifiers, and it was all bass tones. When you were in the massage, you could feel the energy of the you know, the tonal, you know, the music, the bass, and it was all bass, and it was, gosh, honestly, I've never experienced anything like it. View. It was absolutely phenomenal. You really felt like the soul was being massaged.
Right.
Honestly.
This sounds like I know a few people in UK actually, and in France, who do things like Tibetan singing bowl healing and so on. And it's all about vibrations. Yeah. If only we realized that we are pure vibration, and that
everything is energy. Colour's energy.
Yeah.
And that's why I tend to dress in bright colours, because bright colours, different colour tones give out different energies.
Absolutely.
And it can calm you, it can raise you up, it can make you feel vigorated. Yeah. You know, so I use colour for that purpose, in all honesty.
Brilliant.
For me, not for anyone else. Yeah.
Brilliant. Right. So you do it beautifully. And so I use sound and you use colours. And so we both do similar stuff, I think.
Yeah, we do.
So, Lisa, tell us more about what you're doing now. I know that you're working a lot on Facebook, and it's quite hard to find you on LinkedIn these days. But I know you're doing a lot of new things there. So tell us what you're up to.
Okay, well, I can be found on LinkedIn. And the irony is here that I was probably one of the first adopters of LinkedIn, because I'm in their 1 million members club, because one of the first million members of LinkedIn.
Oh, really?
I've been on LinkedIn for years and years and years, and I've got loads of followers. It's just that I don't post on LinkedIn as often as I should, but I will remedy that, Linden. So thank you very much. So let me just tell you a little bit, and I can tell you about what I'm doing now, but I think there needs to be a little bit of a framework behind that, because I am the person I am today based on lots of things that have happened throughout my life. So I share with your listeners that I'm 71 years of age. I'm absolutely grateful to be 71. It's a privilege not gifted to many, and therefore it is really, really important to celebrate that. I'm a real big advocate of positive aging, because you and I both know, Linden, we are of the same generation.
Yeah.
They say if only you could put an old head on young shoulders. Well, it's actually quite a very good metaphor, in all honesty, because if we knew then what we know now, perhaps we may have done differently. But at the end of the day, we're the sum total of our experiences. So I'm really about positive aging, and this stems from, I guess, I talk about when I'm doing a presentation this evening actually to a group of women. I talk about my life in three movements. So I talk about a symphony of life, because again, back to your musical connotation there, our life is a symphony, and how we live that symphony, it can either be a tragedy or it can be, it can be a blessing. So I consider that, the very first 35 years of my life, which is the first movement, was you know, it's what made me. You know, it's where I was brought up with a family. I'm the youngest of 8 children, very, very big family. But I also realise now that, in all honesty, Linden, it's in that first 35 years that you don't realise at the time, and as parents we don't realise this at the time, that's where a lot of one's self-limiting beliefs start to, you know, particularly in the very early years, start to embed themselves. And I guess the very first self-limiting belief I ever had was that I talk too much, you know, and it gave me the feeling, I realise now, is that I didn't have a voice, you know, because at school I was told, you know, shut up, don't talk too much. You know, I was always known as chatty in the family, you know, I liked to have a little chat. And so that sort of started me on a bit of a self-limiting belief that I didn't have that voice. But in all honesty, the very first 35 years of my life was, you know, was good. Had my kids, was married, had my kids, moved into Manchester because I'm based in the northwest of England now, where I'm from what is called the West Midlands. For any of your global leaders, international leaders, or individuals who are watching, it is right in the centre of the UK. Linden knows the area because we've chatted about this regularly.
Robin Hood.
So my very first 35 years is okay, but then, and I talk about it in 3 movements, my first 35 years, the second 35 years, I guess I was living in sovereign in my very first 35 years, in all honesty, because I was fabulous. I was happily married, all that sort of stuff. But then in the second 35 years of my life, things started to go a little bit AWOL. And this is where I didn't realise it at the time, but I was in, you know, sort of mid sort of in my 50s, I was really in a major storm in my life. I didn't recognise it as that. And this is where Storm to Shore came from. And I give you the context because often we can create programs with no background. And my program has been designed and developed as a result of lived experience, you know, and I think that's where the true sovereign comes from, you know, when it's lived experience and you're mentoring others, you have that wisdom, I guess, to be able to help people through some of these storms in their life. So I guess I was completely disorientated then because, again, to put it into context, my marriage, by the time I was 42, my marriage had dissolved. I broke up with my first husband, and I split up when I was 38. But at the same time as that happened, my mother died, and my mom was my true north. You know, she was my, you know, she was my everything. I love my father as well, don't get me wrong, but my mom and I, we were like one, you know, and I'm very much like now as a more mature lady, you know, let's put it that way.
That's nice.
My mum died, I got divorced, and I was also made redundant. So 3 things came at once, which was quite difficult. But then, you know, I got through that with the support of friends and all of that sort of stuff. And then I did remarry later on in my 40s when I was 48. Was I 48? No, I was probably 45 when I got married. But then in my early 50s, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which came as a bit of a, you know, a bit of a left of field. Early stages for me. And for any of you who are listening, I am an advocate for Prevent Breast Cancer here in the UK because, you know, 20 years ago, this month actually, 20 years ago this month, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so it's important to get your mammogram. So I've got to get that in. You know, that was a storm that I absolutely avoided because I took action and I absolutely did what was needed to be done. But then a couple of years later, my second husband committed suicide, which I won't go into the detail because it's not relevant at this point. But what is relevant is that, those sort of traumas, and we talked about trauma in your life that happen, can make or break you. So you either become a victim or you become a victor. And my instinct told me to become a victor. And that is really, Linden, when I started, I talk about being grey at that time, because although my hair wasn't grey, I've always had my hair coloured, although you can see with my roots, they need doing now. But, I was a grey person. I'd lost myself. I wasn't the girl I'd been brought up to be. Somehow I lost sorts of identities. And I talk about now of going from grey to becoming a lifetime legend, because I've just recently won an award called Lifetime Legend. But a lifetime national award, which was absolutely wonderful. But I say this because I'm talking about my sort of mid-50s, early to mid-50s, and then I'm talking about being 71. So it doesn't happen overnight. You have to work on it. And I would suggest that in that first 5 years, up to being the age of 60, I really did put a lot of effort and work into my own personal development. So I discovered, I did a lot of training and development around NLP. I did qualifications around my NLP, which I've been introduced to many years previously. I did a lot of work around coaching. I did a lot of work about my own profession, because my background is human resources. I've always been very people focused. So I did a lot of work around there, because I realised a coach that I had some work with, she said to me, Lisa, you understand that the power is within you. You can't wait for somebody else to save you. You've got to save yourself. And so I set about aligning and getting back to an anchoring stage and getting onto that shore. And that shore didn't sort of say, oh, here's the panacea of life and this is what you've got to do now. But where it got me to was a place of sovereignty. It got me to that place of being on a shore where I could then start to decide what I wanted to do. And that's when I guess, I started to recreate me as a brand. The colour came back into my life. I'm part of lots of different communities where, I do inspire and motivate others. And I don't say that from a wanting to sound like I'm bragging. It's, at the end of the day, I know the impact I have on other people. And in fact, that is fulfilled, I guess, my inner current from being a little girl, because I've always known that I've been put on this planet to serve others. And I don't know how I knew that, but I know that's what I do. And I think initially that serving others made me a little bit of a people pleaser. I would people, but I've learned now people pleasing and serving others are two very, very different things.
Yes, so you set your boundaries now.
I've absolutely set my boundaries. And so when I designed and developed Storm to Shore to bring us right back up to date, the storm part of any crisis that's happening in your life, and the crisis doesn't have to be huge. It can be, it can just be a small storm. It doesn't have to be a 10. It could be a 3 or a 4. But the storm is the emotional and practical upheaval. A storm in your life can just be moving house. That can be really, really a big upheaval, particularly somewhere for a long time. True. So it's the emotional and practical upheaval, and it's naming that storm. And then I go into a phase of where you begin, like I did, that getting back to some alignment, about sort of personal development, doing some resilience work. And then the anchoring is so important. That anchoring of when you start to rebuild, whether it's your identity, whether it's your career, whether it's, in your new home where you're starting to make this place the place that you feel that you belong. And it's also for women in particular, and I'm sorry if I'm, You know, if there are any guys watching, gentlemen or men watching this, and they're thinking, you know, well, it's not just about women, it's men as well. You know, it's about rebuilding your confidence. And I'm doing some work with someone who's doing exactly that with their career. You know, they've been in a job for 25 years and they don't know where they're going now. You know, they lost.
Yes.
I'm not sure, like I've said, it's absolutely getting back to fully expressing yourself. And I'd like to think that over the last 10 years, you know, I really feel that I have blossomed, you know, and you think, oh, blossomed, 27. I have blossomed into the person I am.
I know exactly what you mean. And it's really strange because I too feel I've blossomed. My career has always been in education, as you know. I've always been a teacher. But, you know, when you teach, you have to follow rules. And especially in Japan, I live in Japan, as you know, and I've been here a long time. And really here, the rules are extraordinary. Oh, here's King. Oh, this is King. He's always saying hello. He joins nearly every session I do. Thank you,
Hi,
King. Thank you. Yes, you know, so now I retired 3 years ago. And yes, I have exactly that feeling. I'm doing exactly what I want to do for me. And I've blossomed. I've really blossomed. And it's a fabulous feeling.
And it's interesting, Linden, because you used the word there, retire. I have a view on retirement. I mean, you have approached retirement with the zest that I mean, I've never retired. You know, I think of life as about rewiring and refiring. So what you in essence have done, Linden, you didn't retire, you just refired, and you refired a part of your life that you love.
Yes,
and you're sharing your wisdom and your beautiful skills, you know, and you have a lot of wonderful skills with so many people. So you can't retire. You haven't retired from life, Linden. You have
no, I haven't. No, I haven't. But you, Lisa, that's so lovely. But I suppose really I use that word retire because in Japan you have to retire. It's the law. It's the law. You cannot earn any money after a certain age. Yeah, it's the law. So officially, I was retired by the government.
Oh, right. Okay.
So, you know, of course, teaching has been my life, and I've loved it, and I've had fabulous students, and we've all had a great time, and I've learned so much from my students, and they've learned stuff from me. But basically, you mentioned, you know, when you were a small child, you knew you were going to serve humanity. Well, yes, but the problem with being in education, which is really quite different from human resources, is that you're in a kind of conveyor belt situation. You know, you're holding the front line up, and everything's crumbling behind you, really. And because, you know, our education system is Victorian. It's based on Victorian's bureaucracy, you know, Victoria's bureaucracy for the empire, for the British Empire. So, you know, always there's been a lot of dissatisfaction with the system. And I've been really branded as a very unorthodox teacher, and sometimes a dangerous teacher by authorities, because I always wanted to put empowerment into my students' hands by doing what Socrates did, which was questioning. And then the questions become their questions, and then they start to ask questions of themselves, and they really start this incredible process of going inside and changing. And in fact, in Japan, I've been almost sacked a couple of times for doing this, because in Japan, people are told when they're children, don't stand out, you mustn't be different, you must fit in, you know. And so my students would come to me And eventually I called my room where I taught my delivery room, because I felt as if I was a midwife delivering souls like Socrates did.
Yeah.
And I'm just finishing off a book called The Millionaire Midwife, delivering souls in third millennial Japan. So I'm publishing that next year. And
Wow.
this is all about my Japanese experience, which has been incredible, because these students, and especially the women, women are, worse than useless here in Japan. They're just slaves, mostly. They're just wives and mothers, and they do everything, and the husband just goes to work and comes home and is waited on hand and foot, as you would say, as we would say. And so the women were completely, almost dead to me. No energy, no presence, nothing, dead behind the eyes, So of course the men were, the boys were kind of dominant. And yeah, in situations where we did certain types of activities, then the guys would push to the front of everything, and the women, they treated just like secretaries. And they would say to such and such person, "Oh, please make my notes for me." Just amazing treatment of women. So I changed all that, and I went absolutely mad with the boys and put them right at the back of everything and brought the women to the fore. And I've never seen such transformation in my life. They are now, many of them are out in the world. They've left Japan. They're doing amazing things, academics, their own businesses all over the world. And that's because I birthed their soul. So, I know exactly what you mean about blossoming, because yes, and retirement, because I was forcibly retired. I would have gone because I felt so missionary about these students, especially the girls. But I couldn't. It's against the law. So then I am free. I am free. And then I decided I wanted to be a millionaire, which is where the millionaire midwife comes from. So that's what I'm aiming towards. Not there quite yet, but that's what I want, so that I can do something about the education system. So I'm going to start my own setup, and it will be just such a different type of education for the digital era, for the world that we live in now with AI enhancement, exactly for that. So it's very exciting, and I'm glad I retired, and I will never use that word again, I promise. I'm thoroughly scolded. No, it's true. I only used it because that's what the legal term is. But no, I will never retire. I will die in the saddle, definitely. So will you. And we'll be so happy with our income. So no, it's great. So tell us about your next project. So you've got your Storm to Shore well established, and you've got now new ideas about what you're going to do next, haven't you? Oh, no, we've lost your sound. Where is your sound? Must be your microphone, I think. You can hear me okay, I think, can't you? Remove from stage mute, edit mic. Oh, okay. Hours on and on talking, but this session is coming to an end now, because we are approaching our 45-minute limit. So we've managed to stay live for the whole of that period. But if we can just have a final word from Lisa, if she can possibly get her mic. No, she can't. Okay, well, never mind. You've been fabulous. It's been wonderful. This just means you've got to come back again. You'll have to come back. You'll have to come back, and then we can hear more about your wonderful philosophy, and you know, really get to grips with more. Is that working?
Can you hear me?
No. Yes, I can. That's good.
Oh, good. Okay. Sorry about the 45. It was something to do with my iPhone.
It said my iPhone had disconnected. Technology and me are not good bedfellows.
Oh, so if your iPhone was on as well as your desktop, yeah, probably there's going to be a conflict there. Yeah.
Everything's connected, you know. Sorry for swearing, but I wanted to just
don't worry.
I just wanted to leave you with a little top tip, if I could, because this is one of the things that I've learned, and for me, these are the top tips that as part of my Storm to Shore. I've got 5 top tips. When you're looking to rebuild, don't rush to rebuild. As I said, it takes time. Clarity needs stillness. Let yourself pause before leaping into action. You know, because often we all leap into action. Yes. I journal, so journal without judgment. Your thoughts don't have to be polished, just get them down and see where it takes you. Ask yourself, what do I want to feel more of? You know, what the answers are unclear. Start with feelings. They are your internal compass. And Linden talks about having an internal compass.
Yeah.
Don't walk alone, whether it's a mentor, a peer, a small group. Being witnessed changes everything. Having someone to keep you accountable is so important.
Yes.
And then remember this, the storm does not define you. How you respond to it does. So you're waiting to be reclaimed in exactly the same way that Linden talks about going from scattered to sovereign. It's the same process, just using different techniques. So I'm sorry about earlier on.
No, don't worry. This is great. And I'm going to get some clips of our session together, and I'll be posting those on LinkedIn and on YouTube.
Can you get rid of my background? Because I'm so ashamed that I couldn't get something on the back to get rid of my...
It looks lovely. No, it looks great. A fab meal. Have your roast dinner. I long for roast dinners because they're quite difficult in Japan. Roast lamb is my very favorite. Oh, I love it.
Well, that's what we're having for Christmas, Linden. Roast lamb.
I'm drooling. Can you send me a package?
Will do that.
Lisa, thanks so much. And your top tips are brilliant. I know them and I've heard them and I resonate with them all. And we'll post those under this window when we finish the broadcast. And yeah, you're just going to have to come back again next season. Would you? Next cycle. This is the 4th cycle we've done of these events now, and we're going to start again in January. So, you know, I'll contact you and see if you fancy any of the themes. There'll be similar themes, so we can get embodiment out into the world. But yeah, we'd love to have you back if you will come. That would be great. So thanks so much.
Thank you for your time too.
My pleasure. And have a fabulous Christmas. And I envy you your roast lamb and roast beef, whatever you're having. And
I'll send you a picture.
Oh, send me some pictures and I'll be here with my chopsticks. No, it's not true. I can get some meat, but I can't get lamb. I can't get good lamb at all here. So, yeah. So, take care. Have a great Christmas and I'll speak to you very soon. Lots of love. Okay. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Oh, that's wonderful. Thanks so much to Lisa Harper. Yeah, you must join her on Facebook and here on LinkedIn. You can find her profile easily on LinkedIn. And I'm not sure about her YouTube channel, but you will find her on my YouTube channel now, because I'll be making clips, and this is a live broadcast to YouTube. So yeah, get with her. She's got some wonderful advice. And I hope in the future we're going to collaborate and do something together, because we are going along very similar paths. So it would be a great. So thanks so much for joining me today. This is event 11. We're coming to the end. We've only got 2 more events before the end of the series. And next week, we've got a wonderful speaker joining us called Sheza Yazdani. And she's going to come and talk to us about how to scale your business without burning out. So it's a subject after my own heart. As you know, I've written about burnout and how to avoid it. And Sheza has some really good insights into this. So if you're interested in learning about burnout and how to avoid it, then join us next week, same time, same place, noon in GMT. And we'll be here for about an hour, about 45, 50 minutes. So if you'd like to join this broadcast, please apply. There's a link under this window. You can apply. You can come into the studio with us if you like. Or if not, you can stay outside and comment. As you can see, I get the comments here in the window. And in fact, I've got a few more comments. Oh, yes, here's Maynan. Great. Maynan joined us, and she's saying, oh, absolutely great session. Girl power. Congratulations, Lisa, on your achievement. And full of energy, and she loved it. Finding back your color is empowering and beautiful. Inspiring key points. Thank you both for a positive session. Pleasure, Maynan. Thanks for commenting. And as usual, I'll be in touch with you. And I'm so grateful that you follow me. It's wonderful. All the time you follow me. So it's great. So there we are. Unfortunately, that's all we can do today. But I hope you've got some good ideas from Lisa, and also from me, about scattered and sovereign. Yes, sovereignty is now the big thing in terms of embodiment. Yeah, because it means we are the supreme rulers of our bodies. And as Lisa says, you know, if you're in a storm, it doesn't define you. It's how you deal with that defines you eventually. So, you know, whatever storm you are in, then remember, you can become your own sovereign leader. You are the ruler. No, that's the superb thing about being a human being. We are the supreme rulers of our unlimited mind. The limited mind is rather different, because it is very tricky and it's easily influenced, and you have to learn to control it. Buddhists call it the wild horse. Yeah, it's a wild horse in Tibetan. Controlling it, leaning in. But your unlimited mind is boundless, beautiful, and anything is possible. Anything and everything is possible. So if you'd like to know more about embodiment, and if you'd like to know more about what Lisa's doing, then please check under this window and you'll find our links. And there's one more comment here from Maynan, inspiring key points. And yes, she's just affirming it was a great session. So that's great. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next week for Sheza. And we're going to be talking about how to avoid burnout when you start to scale your business. So your startup is well in place, but the scaling is very crucial. You have to scale at the right moment. And it's then that we tend to find people burning out. Yeah. So we can give you lots of good advice. Thanks so much. And I'll be back next week. You can always get me on LinkedIn and YouTube, and just leave me a message and I'll get back to you straight away. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye for now. Have a great day and a great week. See you at the weekend. Oh, see you on Friday for Embodiment Q&A with Dr. Jamusi and Ebi Sheila. And we'll be talking about throwing out the old to make space for the new. We're making preparations for the new year. So join us on Friday. And then, of course, our way, our wealth on Saturday and Sunday. So I'll see you there. Thanks so much. Bye.